Almost every single week we have discussed stable coins, and the reason for this is the numerous significant events surrounding the steady coin market. The fact that stable coins are already beginning to be incorporated into the global financial system is something that many people are actually unaware of. And as time passes, this will only get bigger and bigger and bigger. In fact, this is highly advantageous for both the networks on which these stable coins are generated and for those who are issuing them. Naturally, you are already aware that the XRP Ledger, RLUSD, and Ripple are on my mind. However, there are a lot of fascinating conversations going on, and it seems like Ripple is at the forefront of each and every one of them. And I really want to cover a lot of ground in this video about how near we are to having a player like Ripple, for instance, become a significant component of the US system. Having stated that, welcome to Peepo Coin channel. If you're new to the channel, you will become a subscriber by the end of this video. Point zero forum then. This isn't just your typical annual meeting, this is an annual meeting. These are some of the most prominent figures in the finance industry, and blockchain is merging with them. Major names in Web3 and cryptocurrency are merging. At PZF 2025, we will examine how institutions are bridging the gap between Trade 5 plus D5 plus the risk that comes with scale. Digital money is also speeding up. Stable currency, CBDCs, and tokenized assets are altering finance. We now take a closer look at this incident. All right, we could see who is involved. This May, the Point Zero Forum, the Global Finance and Technology Network's annual global policy gathering, will bring together more than 2,000 of the world's top regulators, central bankers, policymakers, and industry leaders to address this reality. We will now address urgent issues and investigate feasible policy, financial, and technological avenues for advancement to promote sustainability, inclusivity, innovation, and efficiency throughout the global financial system throughout the 3 days of discussion and cooperation. The strange thing about this is that we could see the speakers who will be there. Some of our names are pretty big. Naturally, BlackRock will be present. There we have a few reserve banks, partner of Deutsche Bundesbank's Ripple. Numerous well-known people are associated with this event. A closer examination at the partners of the Point Zero Forum reveals that, in addition to being organized by important companies, it also collaborates with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the BIS, and large banks. Additionally, we have other partners in the gold, silver, and bronze areas. Of course there is a community, but if we look at the names here, Coinbase, Circle, Bybit, Binance, and Ripple are just a few of the well-known companies in the industry. However, this event is being held in collaboration with the BIS. Well, very intriguing. The central bank of central banks is the BIS. However, you also have SWIFT and silver. There is the SWIFT network, Temasek, Visa. You have bronze as well. Take a look at these well-known names as well. Very intriguing. Community as well. At this point, there are a few really big organizations, of course, but nothing very noteworthy beyond that. The fact that SWIFT, Ripple, Visa, and UBS, Banking, and Signum are all part of these large corporations, however, just seems absurd to me. The fact that these events are still happening and that the underlying themes, blockchain, AI, wealth management, and even green tech, are all so bizarre to me. However, if we take a closer look at this, it's clear that cryptocurrency and blockchain represent the financial industry's future. We are aware that this will cause a tremor in the global financial system. However, stable coins are the main focus here. For the first time in 2024, stable currencies recently overtook Visa. They currently rank among the top 15 holders of US Treasury bonds. Indeed, I have been concentrating on this for some time. According to a CoinDesk story from March of this year, Tether is one of the leading purchasers of U.S. Treasuries in 2024. According to the company, it invested $33.1 billion in U.S. Treasury securities last year. Thus, once more it is evident that stablecoin issuers, such as Tether, are growing to be a significant component of the financial system, particularly in and around the United States. Even with some recent ongoing conversations from the U.S. Senate Banking Committee, it is now very evident that stablecoins have the potential to lower costs and enhance access to financial services. But the market requires legal clarity. A first-of-its-kind regulatory framework for all payment stablecoins will be established by the Genius Act. Take a look, the globe, and it also democratizes in a significant manner. As a child who grew up in poverty in a home with only one parent, I therefore constantly consider how crucial it is to help single mothers and those who are struggling lower their expenses and gain more access, since the sooner we do so, the easier it will be for the typical American to live their own version of the American dream. Laws pertaining to stable coins simply take a step in that direction. We're beginning to see a significant push on this, Stable coins are beginning to be discussed, in the main spotlight. It's really obvious. Their desire to promote stable coinage in the US is evident. We naturally return to Scott Bissett's quote, don't we? Stable coins are what we will utilize to maintain the US as the world's leading reserve currency. Keep in mind that Matt from Bitwise stated that, regardless of how large you anticipate stable coins to be, you're most likely thinking too tiny, because as we can see, several trillions of dollars are related to stable coins alone. Now that we consider this, we must revisit this post by Matthew Lin Y from the 19th. The goal of Ripple is to take over as the main clearinghouse for the US Treasury markets. The daily volume will be approximately $6 trillion if this happens and settlement proceeds over the XRP ledger. If we investigate, we find that the US Treasury market's central clearing changed in February of this year. The SEC enacted regulations in December 2023 with the goal of increasing the scope of central clearing for Treasury security and repo transactions. Please provide feedback on how these responsibilities are being implemented. How do you anticipate direct participants using the FICC's described sponsored access and agent clearing models? After that, it just labels a few questions. We can now see the market size over here, cash and repo market scope. The majority of the $6 trillion in daily activity on the U.S. Treasury cash and repo markets is not centrally cleared. Treasury clearance activity is predicted to rise by about $4 trillion every day per a recent industry survey conducted by the FICC. This is crazy. In order to grow digital assets and distributed ledger technology, we are now constructing DLT and blockchain for tokenized Treasury framework parts. We are doing this by creating a framework that promotes trust and industry-wide buy-in. As the market for digital assets erodes confidence in the underlying technology, fraud, scams, and theft have been increasing correspondingly. The DTCC principles now include legal certainty, regulatory compliance, operational scalability, resilience and security, protecting customer assets, connectivity and intrepidability, and developing a secure digital asset settlement ecosystem. Why, in my opinion, is Ripple a strong contender for this? Correct, since we already know that tokenized treasuries are heavily utilizing blockchain and DLT. We are aware of their desire to tokenize the debt. We are aware of their desire to tokenize every valuable item on the network. Where are we searching then? Are we only considering Ripple because we have a bias and want XRP to surge or something? That is up for debate. However, you might also examine the facts, and this reminds me of April 24, 2024, a year ago. The U.S. Department of the Treasury, Ripple and Stellar, and Subjective Views all posted this. I keep returning to this roundtable discussion because it is so important. This is because the technical and regulatory needs for improving the legacy capabilities of central bank money were discussed with Nellie Lang, Undersecretary for Domestic Finance, U.S. Department of the Treasury, examining the possible effects on investors, customers, and companies. They also explored the long-term goals for incorporating stable coins and tokenization from CBDC into the larger U.S. financial system, including possible advantages for resilience and economic growth. And I have no doubt that they raised the issue of tokenizing U.S. debt and treasuries. Even more bizarre is the fact that, if we go back only a few days before